Hello my dear students, welcome to this English literature class. Well, I got a good response from your side on my new videos where I am discussing with you a few questions relating the lesson. So on your request, again today I am here with my video on the lesson Hearts and Hands written by O. Henry. Now you know the story very well that Miss Fairchild and Mr. Easton, they knew each other during the Washington days, which is towards the east. But in order to make money, Mr. Easton had left Washington and had come towards the west in order to earn money. But it was after so many, the time has not been given in the lesson, but we presume that after a few years, Miss Fairchild happens to meet Mr. Easton again in a train. So as I discuss the question and answers with you, the story will be revised side by side. Question number 1. What is the name of the train? Where does it go? Where was the last stop? Now, as discussed in the earlier videos also, when a question contains 3 sub-questions, write one sentence each for every question and there is no need to write anything extra. What is the name of the train? The name of the train is B&M Express. Where does it go? It goes towards the east. Where was the last stop? It stopped at Denver Railway Station. Question number 2. What is special about the passengers at Denver? Special about the passengers. Again, the answer is in the very first line of the lesson, influx of passengers. Right? The very special about the passengers was that when the train stopped at Denver railway station, lot of passengers entered into the train. Next question. Describe the young girl. How is she dressed? Now when this question comes, you have to, no doubt you can describe the girl, but please keep in mind that the words from the text should be there. I always lay stress on the textual words in your answers. So describe the young girl. How is she dressed? Well, the young girl is Miss Fairchild, who is sitting in the train. Then the textual words for the answer will be pretty, elegantly dressed, lovely smile, pink cheeks, surrounded by all luxuries and comforts. So all these words are from the first paragraph of the lesson. Question number 4. Who are the 2 new passengers that enter the train? The 2 new passengers who enter the train are Mr. Easton and the glum-faced man. Then describe Mr. Easton. Mr. Easton is a handsome man with bold, frank countenance. All the words are given in the very first paragraph. And the glum-faced man has been described as heavily built, ruffled, roughly dressed, but well-mannered. Question number 5. What phrase is used for the 2 people? The phrase used for both the men is the linked couple. This phrase has been used because both the men are tied together. One of the hands of the glum-faced man and one of the hands of Mr. Easton are tied together with a handcuff. So they are known as linked couple. Next, question number 6. Do you think the main character of the story, Easton, recognizes the lady sitting across him? Why does he ignore the girl at the beginning? Well, when such questions come, do you think? It is entirely upon you whether you think it yes or no. You can answer it in either way, but it should be supported with valid reasons. So when you ask me, I will say that yes, I think that the main character, Mr. Easton, recognized Miss Fairchild. But he did not talk to her because he was handcuffed and he did not want the girl to know about it. Question number 7. Where do the men sit? How does the woman react? How does swift disinterest summarize her glance? Where do the men sit? The men sit exactly to the opposite where Miss Fairchild was sitting. How does a woman react? The woman reacts very naturally, as it is very natural for every person to react. When somebody comes and sits opposite to us, it is a reflex action that we always look at the person who comes and sits across us. How does swift disinterest summarize her glance? It is called swift disinterest because it was just a reflex action of Miss Fairchild to have a look at the person who just came and sat opposite to her. Question number 8. How does a young woman initiate a chat with Mr. Easton? What is her tone? How does she start the conversation? Now when Miss Fairchild saw, she recognized him. And how does she start? The young lady initiated a chat with Mr. Easton by introducing him by his name, number 1. And number 2, by asking him if he does not ever recognize his old friends when they meet in the West. These are the first 2 sentences or the first 2 words which she spoke to him. What is her tone? She speaks in a very friendly tone. Question number 9. Why does Mr. Easton feel embarrassed? Well, Mr. Easton feels embarrassed because he is handcuffed and he does not want the lady to know that he is handcuffed and for what he is being handcuffed for. Question number 10. How does the other man save Mr. Easton from embarrassment? What does he tell the girl? Yes. So the other man, or rather the glum-faced man, or rather the real marshal, he saved Mr. Easton from embarrassment by interfering in the conversation and explaining the young girl that Mr. Easton is the marshal and he is the prisoner and the marshal is taking the prisoner to the prison. That is why how he saved her his image. Because he had come to know that they both are friends and he did not want to spoil the image of Mr. Easton in front of his childhood friend. Next question. Why did the glum-faced man speak all of a sudden? What was his alleged crime and the punishment according to the glum-faced man? Yes, the glum-faced man spoke all of a sudden because he wanted to save Mr. Easton from embarrassment. What was his alleged crime? According to the glum-faced man, his alleged crime is counterfeiting. That is printing and distributing fake currency notes. And the punishment is 7 years of jail in Leavenworth prison. Textual words, counterfeiting, Leavenworth prison. Question number 12. What is the significance of the fact that the prisoner's crime is counterfeiting? In fact, the other question could be, how can you describe the word counterfeiting? Well, counterfeiting means cheating, doing something fake. So here the word counterfeiting is used in 2 terms. Number 1, making and distributing currency notes. And number 2, Mr. Easton is himself counterfeiting because he is presenting himself as a marshal in front of Miss Fairchild. So he is also counterfeiting because when the glum-faced man tried to save his image, he did not say anything. He continued with the same drama. Next question. Question number 13. What reason is given by Mr. Easton for not going to Washington? Now we know that Mr. Easton has left Washington. What reasons does he give? Number 1, he says that in order to live in Washington, a lot of money is required, which he did not have at that time. Number 2, he sees lots of opportunities in the West and so he took the opportunity of minting money in West. And number 3, he says that the job of a marshal is not worth respect in Washington. But he was doing this job, so he did not prefer to go to Washington. Next question, number 14. What does taking wings to itself means? There's a line. Money has a way of taking wings onto itself. What does this line mean? This line means that money has a great speed. The speed with which one gains money, with the same speed money disappears as money has wings on it. We say it na, paisa to aana jana hai, maya. Next question. Question number 15. What does the girl tell about the ambassador? What does he needn't ever have done so mean? Now from the conversation about the ambassador, we come to know that one of their friends, common friends, was a person who is working as an ambassador now, a good post. But Miss Fairchild feels that their friend, who is now an ambassador, does not talk to her anymore. He is not at all in touch with her, and she wishes that he should have been in touch with her. Next question. What do you infer about Miss Fairchild? Which sentence illustrates the inference made? Now, the sentence. Now what we infer from the present conversation is that Miss Fairchild has perhaps developed a liking for Mr. Easton. She wants to be friends with Mr. Easton now. Which sentence tells us? You have been missed from the old crowd. Tells us that she misses Mr. Easton's company now. The young lady, question number 17, the young lady asks her friend, will we see you again soon in Washington? Why? Now, when Miss Fairchild says this to Mr. Easton, what does it mean? It means that she feels happy that she has got her old friend back, number one. Number two, maybe she has developed a soft corner for Mr. Easton and she requires his friendship. And number three, she wants to renew her friendship with Mr. Easton, whom she considers now to be very handsome and well-mannered. Next, question number 18. Why do marshals handcuff themselves to their prisoners? What rule of handcuffing she does not know and the man does not tell? Why do marshals handcuff? Well, marshals handcuff themselves to the prisoners so that the prisoners do not escape. What rule of handcuffing the lady does not know? The rule which Miss Fairchild does not know is that usually the left hand of the marshal is handcuffed to the right hand of the prisoner. But this was not here, which she could not find out. Next question. Easton tells her, my butterfly days are over, I fear. What does he mean and what does she understand? Well, butterfly days are over means the days of freedom are over. What does he mean? By saying this, Mr. Easton meant that his days of freedom are over and he is going to spend 7 years in jail in Leavenworth prison. But what Miss Fairchild understands is that now, being a marshal, he has great responsibility and he has no free time to move here and there. What figure of speech is used? It is a metaphor. My butterfly days are over. Question number 20. What family details of Fairchild is available in the story? What do you infer from the conversation with Mr. Easton about her family? Well, the family details we come to know are that this Miss Fairchild has a father and a mother. The mother and she had come in Denver to spend her summer holidays. But the father got ill and the mother returned back to look after the father. So what idea we get about Miss Fairchild is that she is a fun-loving, enjoying girl, because when she came to know that her father is not good, she should have also left along with her mother to take care of her father. But rather she preferred enjoying at Denver. Question number 21. Why is it ironic for Miss Fairchild to say, but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid? She says this sentence, but people always misunderstand things and remain stupid. She says in other sense, but it is ironic here because the same line implies to Miss Fairchild also. She has remained stupid as she does not come to know about the reality that Mr. Easton is the accused and the glum-faced man is the real marshal. Question number 22. How does the glum-faced man bring this conversation to an abrupt end? What does duty calls mean? How do Easton and Miss Fairchild understand it? Well, how does the glum-faced man brings the conversation to an abrupt end by asking Mr. Easton to take him to the smoker's room in the train. Duty call here means that the marshal is bound to take the prisoner to the place wherever he wants to go in the train. How do Easton and Miss Fairchild understand it? Well, Mr. Easton understands it very well that this is an indication from the real marshal to get up and move from here and go towards the smoker's room because he wants to end this conversation. But Miss Fairchild understands it as a very great, kind, helpful person, thinking about Mr. Easton, that a prisoner has asked for a smoke and Mr. Easton is going to oblige him. And again, the literary device used here is irony because she does not know the reality. Question number 23. What is ironic when Miss Fairchild says, but you must go on to Leavenworth, I suppose? Again, this sentence is ironical because Miss Fairchild thinks that Mr. Easton is going to Leavenworth in order to take the so-called accused, the glum-faced man, to the prison, to leave him there. But the reality is that Mr. Easton is himself going to Leavenworth prison as a prisoner and he is going to stay there for the next 7 years. That is ironical. Question number 24. How do Easton and Fairchild know each other? How do they happen to meet and where? So both Mr. Easton and Miss Fairchild knew each other in the past when they both stayed in Washington. How do they happen to meet? They happen to meet at Denver railway station when Mr. Easton enters the train and Miss Fairchild is already sitting there. Question number 25. How many characters are there in the story? Who are they? Well, there are total 5 characters in the story: Miss Fairchild, Mr. Easton and the glum-faced man, and the 2 passengers who are hearing the whole of the conversation. Do both the new passengers identify the marshal and the prisoner correctly? No. Only one of the passengers identifies the marshal and the prisoner correctly. Next, question number 25. In fact, 26, sorry. Said one of them that marshal is a good sort of chap. Who is the marshal according to the first passenger? Why is he good? According to the first passenger, the glum-faced man is the real marshal and he identified the real marshal correctly. Why does that passenger considers the marshal to be a good person? He considers him to be a good person because he saved Mr. Easton's image in front of his childhood friend. Next question. Pretty young to hold an office like that, asked the other. What does this passenger mean? Well, this passenger means that the real marshal is Mr. Easton, and he comments that he has become a marshal at a very young age as he appears to be quite young in his looks. He does not recognize the real marshal. Question number 27. What evidence does the first passenger at the end of the story use to figure out who the real marshal is? So the evidence given by the first passenger is that it is always, being right-handers, it is always that the left hand of the marshal is tied to the right hand of the prisoner so that the prisoner should not get away. Question number 28. How many times does the glum-faced man save Mr. Easton from embarrassment? Well, the glum-faced man saved Mr. Easton from embarrassment thrice. Number 1, when he told Miss Fairchild that he is the convict and Mr. Easton is the marshal. Number 2, when Miss Fairchild was looking continuously at the handcuffs, he assured Miss Fairchild that Mr. Easton knows his business. And number 3, when he thought that before truth comes out, he asked Mr. Easton to get up from there and take him to the smoker's room. So that was his plan to save Mr. Easton from embarrassment, lest the lady should know the truth. And last 3 questions, question number 27, 28, 29. The character sketches of Miss Fairchild, Mr. Easton and the glum-faced man. Well, for Miss Fairchild, you can write that she is very friendly, very social, then very pretty. You can expand these words. Then for Mr. Easton, we can say that he is a great opportunist. He does not leave the opportunity to impress his childhood friend again. But he is having a negative character as he is accused of counterfeiting. And for the glum-faced man, he is selfless, humble, kind. Then what else? He is the one who saved Mr. Easton from embarrassment. You can add up all the more adjectives to these characters. So this is the summary of the chapter Hearts and Hands, where I have discussed with you 30 question answers. I hope you will gain from it and you will try to revise through these questions. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. Bye-bye.